So now let's move on to the demand supply versus the rental yield of the smaller unit types. So not just about the Robertson Opus, but I'm taking the opportunity to share with you how I actually look at data. So am I right to say that when we look at the smaller units like one bedder, most people coming in would be looking at investment. That means they will buy and rent it out. So to understand data like rental yield is extremely important. And then of course, before you commit into a property, knowing the demand and supply is equally important. So supply is very straightforward. It is data that's derived from websites or from app. You can simply pull up the numbers. Demand is something that you must be experienced or on the ground to know what the people looking at that area would actually want to go for or willing to pay for. It is very important because you must always know when you buy a property, you must already know who are the people that's going to buy from you next time. And this is a very important part before you commit into a property. So for one bedder and suites, as mentioned, if you're buying for investment, rental yield comes into play. When you take a look at the supply of one bedder and suites in the River Valley area, I have actually filtered out to be comparable to the Robertson Opus compared to the total number of units that makes up to about 11%. And on the other hand, if we were to look at another area like Marina Bay area, it actually makes up to about 36%. Okay, so in this case, right, Marina Bay has more than 30% supply, whereas River Valley only has about 11% of small units. So based on this, am I right to say that if River Valley's one bedder is so low in supply, it's actually a better buy? Because most agents will probably tell you it's better to buy because it's low in supply, it's easier to rent out next time. People don't have a lot of choices. But does low supply actually equals to high demand? Let's take a look, yeah? So for Marina Bay, even though the one bedder constitute of about 36% of the total supply in the area, their rental yield is about 4%. Okay, so if we base on the fact that low supply equal to high demand equals to better yield, then am I right to say that the River Valley's yield should be even higher since there's only about 11% of one bedder? On the contrary, right, River Valley's rental yield is 3.3% lower than Marina Bay. So from this case study, it is very clear that if I'm an investor and I go for rental yield and my agent were to say that, then you should buy River Valley. Supply is low, next time easier to rent out. It is not the case. I will still go for Marina Bay because rental yield is higher there. So I just want to show you that low supply does not necessarily mean that it has higher demand. You must really understand the demand in that particular district itself.